Alright, welcome back to UltraConfig tutorials. In today's video, we're going to take a look at yangexplorer. This is a tool developed by Cisco to help make the lives easier for network automation engineers. If you're interested in all things related to network automation, then this video is for you. We're going to take a look at how to install and run yangexplorer, how to upload and inspect Yang models, and how to execute remote procedure calls against real network devices. The thing you should know straight up about yangexplorer is that this tool is to aid developers in their network automation work. If you want to read a Yang module in a user-friendly format or execute a netcomf request, yangexplorer allows you to do this without writing a single line of code. You see, you can't build a complex automation solution with yangexplorer, but it's a tool you can use to rapidly try a Yang module out. It's like Postman for network engineers. Have you used Postman before? Postman allows you to execute REST API calls against a server. You would never build a solution using Postman, but it's the perfect tool for a software engineer to get familiar with an API before they start writing their code. That's what yangexplorer is. It's a tool to let network engineers get familiar with the Yang module before they build their network automation solution or while they're building their network automation solution. And I should also jump in here and say, if you don't know what Yang is, check out this video here. It's a 16-minute video that goes over Yang from scratch. In the video we're doing today, I'll assume you know what Yang is and have some background on network programmability. With that said, let's get straight to it. To get started, we're going to install yangexplorer from scratch. Unfortunately, it's not supported on Windows yet. It's only supported on Linux and Mac. So I have an Ubuntu virtual machine here that I'm going to perform the installation on. The first thing we're going to do is open up a terminal and install Python 2.7. The version must be 2.7 as yangexplorer does not yet support Python 3. There we go, the version looks good. The next thing we want to do is install pip, the Python package manager. We can download the install script with a curl command. And we can now execute the script to install it. Alright, let's now install a bunch of Linux dependencies. We'll now create a virtual Python environment for yangexplorer. You don't need to do this, but it is a good practice to isolate your Python dependencies. With that done, let's clone the yangexplorer repository from GitHub to our Ubuntu virtual machine. And before we install yangexplorer, let's install two Python dependencies. These are pyang and graphviz. Okay, we've got our dependencies all sorted. Let's run the bash script that will set up yangexplorer. With that done, we can now start the tool by executing the bash script called start. I'm going to do one more thing though before I run the start script. I'm going to modify the IP address of our yangexplorer server. If you don't do this, you'll only be able to access yangexplorer from the machine that you run it on. I want to access the tool from my Windows machine, however, so I'm going to configure it to listen on the IP address of my Ubuntu machine rather than just localhost. So we can do that by adding our IP address to the yangexplorer.html file. And we also need to add the IP address to the start bash script. That's all good now, let's start the server. That looks good too. Let's now head over to our Windows machine and open up the tool from Google Chrome. If you try this out yourself, make sure that you do use Google Chrome as there are known bugs with other browsers. You might run into another blocker here. yangexplorer requires Adobe Flash, so if the tool doesn't load for you, head over to this website here and download Flash. Back to the app, let's start by logging in as the default guest user. The password for this account is the same as the username, and if you want to create another user account, you can do so by clicking on the admin button. And you can create a new user by clicking the add button here. Okay, so let's take a look at the interface of the application. On the left here, you can browse through Yang models that you've subscribed to. The guest account will be subscribed to an IETF interfaces model by default. So using the arrow buttons here, we can explore the objects inside the Yang model. If we want to learn more about a specific leaf, you can just click on the leaf name, and then on the right side of the window, you can see a full list of properties belonging to that leaf. In this example, we've clicked on the enabled leaf, and we can see that this leaf is of type Boolean and the attribute is writable. We can also see the full XPath expression for this leaf down here. And this is one of the best things about Yang Explorer. When you're writing software for network automation, you're going to frequently need these XPath expressions. They come up in RESTconf, in telemetry subscriptions, and all kinds of places. The next thing I want to show you is how to upload Yang modules to Yang Explorer. Currently on my network, I have an iOS XE router. I can find the Yang modules for this router on GitHub. What I'm going to do now is clone the repository so I have a copy of the modules on my local computer. Next, let's jump back on Yang Explorer. Click on the Manage Models button followed by the Add button. We can now browse our local computer to select the modules of interest. I'm going to navigate to the latest iOS XE modules. Another thing you'll notice is you can't upload a specific module unless you select all of the dependencies of that module on the same bulk upload. So with that in mind, I'm going to upload an operational model for an iOS XE interface as well as the dependencies of that module on the same bulk upload. We can see that was a success. The modules are now listed in our workspace. To explore a module, we have to click on a checkbox and hit the subscribe button. As we can see, this makes the module available in the Explorer pane on the left side of the screen. I should also note that you can only subscribe to modules that include data nodes. So if we take a look at the module for semantic versioning, for example, we won't be able to directly subscribe to this module. The only purpose of this module is to act as a dependency. Next up, let's take a look at how the RPC feature works. Let's try to fetch the interface from a Cisco iOS XE router running on my network. To start, we need to click on the Build tab and enter in the details of our router. We'll choose CSR for our router platform. Our router has an IP address of 192.168.1.10 and credentials of admin. We've also enabled netcomf on our router on the default port 830. If you want to save the details of a router for use at a later time, you can save the details by clicking on the Create Device Profile button. Next, we need to choose what data we want to fetch using the Values column in the Explorer pane. Let's fetch the Gigabit Ethernet 000 interface, and we'll add the GET flag to the leaves we are interested in. Let's grab the admin status, the operational status, the packet counters for unicast packets, the IPv4 address, the IPv4 subnet mask, and the interface description. Now that we've chosen the data we want, we can click on the RPC button here. This generates an XML object used for the remote procedure call to fetch our desired data. This will look familiar to you if you've used netconf before. The XML namespace references the relevant Yang module, and then we have our leaves of interest structured below. Let's go ahead and click on the Run button. And there we go, Yang Explorer just executed the RPC against our Cisco router. We can take a look at the data on our router by reading the response. The admin status is up, the operational status is up, and we can see our packet counters, our IP address details, and our interface description which says, hit the subscribe button if you enjoy UltraConfig tutorials. And we can see from an SSH session to our router that we get the exact same values if we use a show command. Alright, one other cool thing about this RPC feature. If you want to customize your RPC request before sending it to a network device, you can easily do so by clicking on the Custom RPC button. This makes the text area editable so you can modify your request in any way you like before hitting the Run button. And you can do the same thing for RESTconf. Clicking on the RPC button will generate RESTconf requests that you can execute against a device. Cisco do have a disclaimer though saying that the RESTconf support on yangexplorer is experimental. Another cool feature is this Python button. If you click this, yangexplorer will generate Python code for you that you can then copy and paste out of the tool if you please. If you're getting started with Python for network automation, then this feature is going to come in handy. We also have the YDK button, which will come in handy for developers familiar with the Yang development kit, and the capabilities button, which will fetch the netconf capabilities off your active router. These are the same netconf capabilities that are exchanged during the initial netconf connection between a client and a server. Alright, so that's everything a user needs to know to get started using yangexplorer. If you give it a shot, let me know in the comments what you think of the tool. I love the concept of yangexplorer. I think it's pretty essential for network automation engineers to have something like this. It just helps get things done faster. I will say though that the tool needs an uplift in a few regards. For example, Adobe Flash is going end of life this year, so it really shouldn't be used anymore in any serious applications. I've seen rumors on GitHub though that Cisco are working on something new, so I'm pretty excited to see what it will be. If something cool comes out, I'll be sure to post a new video on it. Before I end today's video, I'll also shout out UltraConfig. UltraConfig is a web-based software application that was built by myself and a few of my colleagues. Our vision was to create a powerful tool for automating the generation of network config. But we wanted to do more than just build a tool that solves config automation problems. We wanted to build a platform that network engineers would love, a platform that puts a huge focus on the user experience. When using UltraConfig, you only need to learn the templating language called Ginger 2. Once users know that, they can build templates to automate config generation for any vendor they like. The software is completely agnostic to equipment manufacturers. It doesn't matter if the device is Cisco, Juniper, Huawei, Aruba, or any other vendor. If you haven't checked it out before, I highly recommend that you do. The software includes an API to fully enable end-to-end network automation, and the software is free to use with our free forever plan. A link to the software will be in the description. That's going to be it for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.